Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lore and Loot Morrowind. Today we're finishing up in Seyda Neen. We'll walk over to an Imperial named Nuccius.
Let's hear it.
When we talk to him, he tells us that if we're looking to get out of Seyda Neen, he can offer a little advice. Alright, bud, what do you have to say? He tells us to get out of town, and to use the Silt Strider to do so, as it saves us the dangers of traveling the road. He tells us to go over to the Silt Strider platform and tell Darvame Laren that he sent us. Alright, so let's head on over to the Silt Strider platform and meet the Dunmer woman, Darvame Laren.
Go ahead, stranger.
Where would you like to go?
After we greet her, she asks us what we need, and we tell her, well, Vadunia sent us. And she says, that guy's always sending me customers. What a nice fella. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he's unhappy here in Vardenfell. Well, that's curious. Let's go ask him why. What's the matter, pal? Why are you
What's this
unhappy
about?
here? He tells us he came to Vardenfell to try to make his fortune, but it just hasn't worked out for him at all. In fact, he tells us he wants to take the first boat back to Narcissus and get out of Vardenfell. Narcissus is a city in the mainland of Morrowind, and we don't get to explore it while playing this game, but that's apparently where he's from. He asks us to buy this cursed ring from him, and with the money, he can buy a ticket out of here. We'll go ahead and do so. Nuccius' cursed ring is an extravagant ring with the enchantment Fortify Athletics for 5 points for 60 seconds on self, but it also damages health for 10 points on self. No wonder it's cursed. The ring is worth 100 drakes, which is what we paid him for it, so we'll go ahead and try to sell the ring and get our money back. It's absolutely useless to us after all.
Please, share your thoughts.
Well, we see that we're not quite getting its worth back from our reel, but at least we can increase our mercantile a little bit this way. When we exit the trade house, we'll see that Vadunius is gone from the game now. Presumably, he took the first boat off the island while we were in there. Now, if we had enough sneak and lockpicking skill, we could go ahead and go into his house and see that he lived a modest life. He had a small locked chest where he kept his cutlery, but he really has nothing of value at all. Now, we can sleep here if we want, but this is not a good player home, as everything we store in these containers will be marked as stolen, even if they're ours to begin with. Now, I don't actually have enough skill to open these locks, so I cheated to get in here. So we're going to go ahead and reload a save so that we don't actually cheat. I just wanted to show you guys the inside of his house. And that does it for Seyda Neen. That's the last quest we can do for now in Seyda Neen. So we'll be leaving for Balmora. Now, if you remember, we got directions to Balmora from the scout Aloni at Ariel's Trade House a few episodes ago. So let's go ahead and read those directions. From Seyda Neen to Balmora by road. From Seyda Neen, leave the village by the North Bridge, then follow the road east past the Silt Strider port. East of Seyda Neen, the road heads northeast through the ridge and intersects a northwest-southeast road. Turn left, northwest, and past the village of Pelagiad on your right. The road continues north, then swings northeast until it reaches a four-way intersection. The road to Balmora turns left to the northwest and then descends into the Foyada Mamea, a deep volcanic ravine. The road follows the ravine northeast for a short distance, then turns left and climbs out of the ravine to the northwest. North of the ravine, pass Fort Moonmoth on the right, and come to an intersection with a signpost. Head due west towards Balmora. North of the ravine, pass Fort Moonmoth on the right, and come to an intersection with a signpost. Head due west towards Balmora. Two small bridges cross the Odai River. On the west side of the river, go north, passing the Siltstrider port and entering the walls of Balmora. Mind the signposts and be careful. In bad weather or darkness, it's easy to stray from the road. Very well, it looks like it's time to make our way to Balmora. Now there are 3 ways to get there. One of them is the very long way that takes us down the Bitter Coast, following the water, past a couple of fishing villages, up through Caldera, and coming to Balmora from the north. We're going to take that road later. For now, we're going to follow the instructions and start heading out of town like Eloni told us. Now, at this point, we see the road, a small little road right here that leads over to Ebonheart. But we're going to visit Ebonheart much later. Along the way, we'll likely encounter hostile wildlife, like this here Guama forager. Now from here we can look across the lake and see Pelagiad in the distance. Now we're no longer in the Bitter Coast region, we've entered the Ascadian Isles region, a place with tall trees, green hills, and strange giant mushrooms. To our right, Pelagiad, on the top of the hill, a small Western-style town with a fort attached to it. We'll come back here later. This small road leads to Pelagiad from the back, so we won't be heading this way right now. Along the way, we'll see various caves, some mines, and some ancestral tombs. We'll definitely be checking these out at a later time. Alright, so we've reached a crossroads. Both roads lead to Balmora, and we'll take them both, but we'll start by following the directions and using the main road. We're going to jog by this lady for now and head north. Here we have the main crossroad that we were told about. Ghostgate, Balmora, Molag Mar, Mount Kand, and Saran. Off in the distance, we see the shadow of some structure against the darkening night skies. Now, as we cross this small path, the geography changes instantly. From green and alive to black and charred. This is Foyada Mamea. Now, Foyadas are basically paths created by lava that erupts from the volcano at the center of the island. People use them to travel through rough terrain with greater ease than by going cross country. There are only dead trees here and rocks, no life at all. Again, we see the outline of that strange structure from here. I'm sure we'll explore it one of these days. Here we see one of the many Imperial garrisons in Vardenfell. This one is Fort Moonmoth. Now we'll continue following the last signpost that leads west. Here there are two bridges that cross the Odai River just like the instructions told us, and off in the distance we hear the haunting howl of the Silt Strider, signaling our arrival in the great city of Balmora. Well, it's kind of foggy now, so it's not the best view from up here, but that's okay. Now, let's head back to the place I said where you could take the two roads to Balmora, and let's see the secondary way to get here. There's no signpost that indicates that we can reach Balmora this way, so I guess you'll just have to trust me on this one. The path takes us basically through a small little valley, with mountains to the south and the north. Now, if we were to jump the southern ridge here, we'd arrive back at the Bitter Coast region, just a little bit to the northwest of Seyda Neen. Whoa, what's this? A Quama worker. Well, we've never seen such a creature before. Vardenfell is full of amazingly strange beasts. Typically, these workers don't stray too far from the Quama mines, and we'll get to explore some of these mines later. Now, I know we've been bypassing quite a few things in this episode, but don't worry. We'll meet everyone and explore everything as we delve deeper into this amazing game. Now we're approaching the Odai River from the east like we did before, but much farther to the south. We'll cross here over a rope and wooden plank bridge. On our left here is another Quama mine. Following the small footpath here, we can make our way eastish until we see the familiar sight of Balmora's southern gate. Now, in our next episode, we'll fully explore Balmora and get a lay of the entire town. Now, Balmora is a big place, and there's a lot to do here, so we're going to be spending quite a few days in this city. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Lore and Loot Morrowind. Until next time.